Howdy folks, in today's video we'll go ahead and take a look and do a mini review of the Coway Airmega 200M, also known as the AP-1518R model. This is a very similar model and a slight redesign of the front end of the older one, which was the 1512HH, I believe. And looks like they've changed a few things on the front side, just looks different. I emailed the company actually and I asked them if there were any other changes. They stated they just improved the general functionalities and redesigned the circuit board, and also it looks like they added the feature to disable the air quality light. So I guess folks who do not want to see it at night can turn that off. Other than that, in terms of the specifications, it appears to be a very similar model with similar capabilities, and the filters also do appear to be interchangeable between the older version and this one as well. For the air cleaning functionalities, it has 3 filters and also the ionizer function, which we'll cover in a bit. For the 3 filters, to see the 3 filters, here's the pre-filter one. And then let's see if I can do it one-handed. This is the pre-filter right here that needs to be cleaned every 2 to 4 weeks. And then behind it, we have the charcoal filter. And here's a better look at the HEPA filter. The HEPA filter does appear to be well made. It has kind of a few tabs that we can use to pull it out. We do, when you install it, or if you do get this unit and you install it, you want to make sure that you do install it correctly with the airflow, so it goes from the front to the back, right, with airflow. So make sure the arrow is pointing correctly. I'm going to go into my geek mode for just a second and talk about HEPA because it's air purifier shouldn't just have a filter. There is a reason why they call it a HEPA filter, and the reason for that is that the HEPA standard was actually developed in 1940s. It was developed by the military, specifically the Manhattan Project, where they were trying to see if they can create a filter that allows and disables nuclear particle contaminants. Obviously, it's not going to prevent radiation, don't get me wrong here, but the idea there was, can we filter the air in order to prevent some of those contaminants? And that 0.3 micron became the standard for HEPA filters. And that was actually a secret that they used in 1940s, in 1950s. It became a public standard and hospitals started using it because then that HEPA aspect was commercialized. So I had this unit for about a month. So obviously it's still supposed to and is looking clean. Of course, it needs to be replaced every year, once a year, and then the charcoal filter, they're recommending to replace it every 6 months or so. Like with all of my reviews, I will post updates on how things work or don't work down the road in the description of the video and in the comments below. The control panel is fairly intuitive and simple to operate. When we turn it on, we'll have several options. We have auto, which means it will automatically choose the speed 1, 2, or 3, 1 being the lowest, 3 being the highest, based on the current air quality. So blue is good, purple is kind of polluted air, and red is highly polluted. So auto will always choose one of those speeds, 1, 2, or 3. There is also the eco mode. In eco mode, the way it works is that it is similar to auto. However, if the air is clean and it doesn't detect any pollution for 30 minutes, it will actually turn the unit off. And by off, it's going to basically go into a standby mode, meaning that it will only turn back on when the air quality monitor does detect some pollution. So it is actually a very nice feature to have. The button right here is for the ionizer, so you can press it to turn it on and press it again to turn it off. Personally, I do not use it, but this unit is actually certified that it does emit very low levels of ozone, unlike other ionizers that are actually not good for you. This unit is specifically certified by I think it's called California Resource Board, that the functionality of using the ionizer here is producing extremely low ozone levels. I'll put a link in the description for the California Resource Board if you want to find out which units are certified there. The timer function allows you to choose between 1, 4, or 8 hours, and then the unit will power off. And then you have the filter reset. If or when you replace the filters, you can press and hold in the appropriate category, whether it's the HEPA filter or the odor filter that you are replacing. And also, if you do not want to see the light for the air quality, if you press and hold the ionizer feature, basically what happens there is that the unit continues to function based on the settings that you have selected here, but the light here is off. So if it is too bright and you're using it in the bedroom at night, it will not bother you. From the power consumption aspect, the unit is actually very power friendly, especially in the lower modes. So under speed 1, which is the lowest speed setting, we can see that it is using 3.15 or so, 3.16. It's going to jump around in that area. Watts, which is actually very nice and friendly. And the biggest aspect here that I like is that it is basically silent. Unless you're standing right over it, you'll feel the air, but otherwise you cannot hear that unit working. Of course, this unit is new, well, 1 month old, so we'll see how well that happens in the future, and hopefully it stays that way. In terms of using the wind measurement here, if I were to do that, we can see that it's going to blow at about 5 miles an hour or so in terms of wind speed. So it's going to have a good amount of air movement, but not too bad, and as I said, it is fairly silent here. At speed number 2, we're using 7 watts of power. It's going to fluctuate between 7 and 10 watts roughly, but around 7 watts or so at speed number 2. And if I'm going to measure the wind speed on that, we're going to be between 8 and 10 miles an hour for the wind speed on speed number 2. And if we go to the speed number 3 of the fan, you'll see it's going to go to basically what I call the hurricane mode. And it's going to use about 55 watts of power. There we go. So we got to that 55 watt level. In terms of wind speed, if we were to measure that, we're talking about, and those are estimates, of course, they're going to change, but we're talking about 20 miles an hour. The pre-filter can be washed or vacuumed, and they recommend that you do that periodically. And of course, the charcoal air filter and the HEPA filter should be replaced. Charcoal filter at the 6-month intervals is the recommendation, and the HEPA once a year. Though reminders that you get here, I think that are just time-based. It would be great if it also had the ability to actually calculate it based on the runtime hours. That would be a more accurate gauge, because just going by 6 months or 1 year is not necessarily the best way to do it. But of course, I guess the reason they're doing it is to make it easy on people, so then they just remember, if you run this unit 24/7 versus somebody who runs it 1 hour a day, the conditions of the filters are going to be entirely different. As I'm sure you have already noticed, the unit is a bit glossy, so you do need to wipe it down periodically, otherwise you'll notice it is going to collect a bit of dust. For me, I generally run the unit in eco mode, so then I just keep it on 24/7 for the most part. However, for some folks out there, they may want to utilize it maybe with a smart plug. So I have a demo of that here. In my case, I use my smart plug for power resource management and monitoring, like for this demo here. However, if you do use it with a smart plug, the unit is actually going to remember the last known settings and come back to the same settings, with the exception of ion. Ion, you always have to turn back on manually. So for example, I'm going to trigger my smart device to turn it off. Turn meter off. So here you can see that the power was turned off, and I'll go ahead and have it turned back on. Turn meter on. So using the smart plug, the unit turns back on to the last setting that it was on. Like I mentioned, the only thing that does not come back on is the ionizer. For me, it's perfectly fine. I'm not using it anyway. If you do get this unit, keep in mind that the filters will be inside of the unit. However, they'll be shrink wrapped. So make sure to open the front cover and take those filters out of the plastic shrink wrap. Otherwise, your unit will definitely not going to be A, working right, and B, not doing its filtering job. So just a quick reminder. So does this unit work, and does it work well? How can we tell? Well, so one thing that I have done, at least for me, I also have an air quality monitoring unit that I bought. Primarily, we're going to concentrate on the middle number here, because that is the PM2.5. That is for the actual air quality monitoring. We're going to disregard the upper and the lower numbers. That is for other categories. Upper one is for my formaldehyde, and the lower one is for volatile organic compounds. But PM2.5 is the number that we're researching here, because that's how you monitor air quality. So that is microns in cubic meter is how it's reporting it as, and the PM2.5 monitor. So the idea here, so we have the inbound roughly at the moment is going between 7 and 10 at the moment. So we know that since we have a HEPA filter here, it should be actually bringing that number all the way down. So I'm expecting it to show, since it's a PM 2.5 meter, and we know the HEPA is at 0.3, this number that is coming out, the air that is coming out of here, should basically, the number should go down. And I'm expecting it to go to 1 or less. Obviously, this unit is not going to go below 1. It doesn't have a decimal. It's accurate, but it's not accurate to a decimal point. But I do, and I'm expecting it to go basically to 1 as the air is getting out. The replacement filters can be purchased from the manufacturer, or I noticed on Amazon you can buy them from third-party sellers that are selling compatible filters for this model as well. They appear to be at a cheaper price, or sometimes cheaper price, and also in a multi-pack format, so you can check those out. I'll put a few links in the description of this video so you can check it out as well. All right, well, at this point, hopefully this unit works for many years and stays trouble-free. I do know that Coway does cover it with a 3-year warranty. Hopefully I don't have to use it, but I know that it's there. I did test out their support email address when I contacted them with a list of questions. Of course, I didn't tell them that I'm doing a review. That would defeat my testing purposes, right? So I sent them a list of questions, and they actually replied back within an hour and a half or so. So that was nice to know that at least for the moment, their support is responsive if I do have any issues. Well, anyway, this concludes this review of the video. If I have any other issues or updates, I'll post or update the description of this video in the future. Otherwise, thanks everybody for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.